The Nun 2 is a 2023 American Gothic supernatural horror film directed by Michael Chavez, with a screenplay written by Ian Goldberg, Richard Nang, and Akela Cooper from A Story by Cooper, 6, serving as a sequel to The Nun, 2018, and the eighth installment in the Conjuring Universe franchise. The film stars Taissa Farmiga, Jonas Bloquet, and Bonnie Aarons, returning from the first film, with Storm Reed and Anna Popplewell joining the cast. Peter Safran and James Wan return as producers. In 2017, Wan discussed the possibility of a Nun sequel, and by 2019, Safran revealed that the film was in early development. Cooper was initially hired as the sole writer, before Goldberg and Nang contributed as screenwriters to the final script. Chavez, who had previously helmed The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, 2021, was announced as director. Principal photography began in October 2022 in France. The Nun 2 was released in the United States by Warner Bros. Pictures on September 8, 2023. It has grossed $163 million worldwide and received mixed reviews from critics, but was generally deemed an improvement over its predecessor. Plot, edit. In 1956, Father Noiret and Jacques performed their daily chores in their church in Tarascon, France. While investigating a disturbance, Noiret is raised into the air, set on fire, and burned to death before a terrified Jacques flees. Following the events at Saint Cartha's monastery, Sister Irene now serves in a convent in Italy. Maurice works at a boarding school in France, where he has befriended a young Irish student named Sophie and her teacher and mother, Kate. Irene has a vision of Maurice asking her to save him. She is dispatched by the Cardinal to investigate a series of deaths across Europe, attributed to the demon Valak, due to her previous experience with the demon. She travels to Tarascon with Sister Debra, a young novice who expresses her difficulty in accepting miracles, such as the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist. Meanwhile, a delivery girl witnesses Valak talking to a possessed Maurice before Valak kills her. At Tarascon, Irene is haunted by Valak and has a strange vision. Debra tells Irene that she received Noiret's rosary from Jacques. At school, Sophie is bullied by classmates and locked in the deconsecrated sealed-off chapel. The bully points out the goat on the mosaic window, claiming the devil appears when the sun shines through and turns the goat's eyes red. One night, the headmistress encounters a possessed Maurice and is killed by Valak. Irene and Debra travel to Palais de Papes and meet with a librarian. He explains that Valak was an angel rejected by God, and the emblem on Noiret's rosary is the family crest of Saint Lucy, who was martyred by a pagan. Though she was set on fire, she miraculously did not burn. Her eyes were gouged out, but her family recovered them. The librarian suggests the demon is killing Saint Lucy's descendants because it wants this powerful relic, last known to be stored in a former monastery turned winery. The winery then became the present-day boarding school. At the school, Irene and Debra face off against a fully possessed Maurice. Sophie shows the women the mosaic goat in the chapel, and they use a flashlight to make its eyes glow red. The red light acts as a laser, pointing to where the eyes of Saint Lucy are buried. Irene finds the relic and the mosaic goat vanishes, reappearing in real life as a demonic creature. As the goat attacks the students, Maurice attacks Irene, chases Sophie, and causes the bell tower to collapse. Debra admits to Irene that she now has faith. Irene uses the relic against Maurice, but he grabs it, causing Valak to appear. Similar to Father Noiret, Valak lifts Irene in the air and sets her ablaze. Irene surprisingly does not burn and subsequently realizes she is a descendant of Saint Lucy, able to harness the same power associated with the relic. Irene and Debra pray the words of institution used in Christian celebrations of the Eucharist, and the old barrels of wine in the room become the blood of Christ from their belief. As the blood soaks Valak, the demon is damned back to hell. The next morning, Irene meets with Maurice, who is seemingly cured. Irene, however, is worried as Maurice leaves with Sophie and Kate.